Welcome to Ping 24. Updates, subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. The South China Sea is once again at the center of global attention. Chinese Coast Guard vessels have used water cannons against Philippine supply boats, and local fishermen face harassment in waters they've sailed for generations. Under President Marcos Jr., Manila has pivoted back toward its treaty ally, the United States, reversing the previous administration's China-friendly approach. The U.S. now has expanded access to Philippine military bases, giving it a strategic foothold in a contested region. As U.S.-China competition intensifies, the world is watching a new era unfold in the South China Sea. To grasp America's return, we must revisit Subic Bay and Clark Air Base, once pillars of U.S. power in the Pacific. These bases fueled local economies, but also symbolized an unequal relationship and colonial legacy. In the 1990s, nationalism and Mount Pinatubo's eruption led to their closure, seen as a step toward Philippine sovereignty. But as China's power grew, the absence of a strong U.S. presence was keenly felt. Now the U.S. and Philippines are forging a new, more flexible partnership, mindful of history, focused on the future. Today, the U.S. military presence in the Philippines operates under a new model, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA. Unlike the old days, the U.S. is a guest, not a landlord, using designated areas within Philippine bases, always under Filipino command. This arrangement is more politically acceptable and respects Philippine sovereignty. EDCA allows for rotating U.S. troops, pre-positioning equipment, and upgrading facilities for joint training and disaster response. For the Philippines, it's a path to modernize its military and boost defense capabilities without ceding control. The agreement's implementation was slow at first, but the Marcos Jr. administration has fully embraced it, adding 4 new strategic sites in 2023. These new locations, some near Taiwan, others facing the South China Sea, are no accident. They're designed to address the region's most urgent security challenges. The expanded EDCA network makes U.S. forces more resilient and harder to target. For China, this is deeply concerning, a sign of U.S. intent to contain its rise. Pre-positioned supplies mean the U.S. can respond quickly in a crisis, shortening reaction times and complicating Beijing's calculations. The alliance is now more flexible, distributed, and ready for the challenges ahead. The message to the region is clear. The U.S.-Philippines partnership is back, and it's stronger than before. The Philippines' geography makes it a strategic prize in the Indo-Pacific. It anchors the first island chain, a barrier stretching from Japan to Borneo, controlling access between the Pacific and the Asian mainland. Bases here offer commanding views over the South China Sea, through which a third of global maritime trade flows. U.S. access to these bases means leverage over vital sea lanes and the ability to complicate China's naval operations. The islands also serve as launch pads for air power. Aircraft from northern Philippines can reach southern China and the Taiwan Strait. This forces China to defend its southern flank, stretching its resources and complicating its strategy. For Beijing, increased U.S. presence threatens to bottle up its navy and block its path to the Pacific. The U.S. alliance system, with the Philippines as a key link, forms a formidable barrier to China's maritime ambitions. That's why Beijing reacts so strongly to EDCA's expansion. It sees it as a direct challenge to its long-term goals. The Philippines' strategic value has never been higher. The island chain is once again the front line in a global contest for power. The stakes control of the region's future. Taiwan is the region's most dangerous flashpoint, and the Philippines is right next door. The northernmost Philippine islands are less than 200 kilometers from Taiwan, a game-changer in any crisis. U.S. access to bases in Cagayan and Isabela would be invaluable for intelligence, surveillance, and rapid response if conflict erupts. These sites could support evacuations, special operations, and forward staging for U.S. forces. Without them, America's ability to respond to a Taiwan crisis would be severely limited. China sees these new EDCA sites as offensive launch pads, not just defensive positions. Any move against Taiwan would now force Beijing to worry about threats from the south, complicating its invasion plans. The presence of U.S. forces so close to Taiwan raises the stakes for China, increasing the risks of military action. Manila officially adheres to a One China policy, but its actions reveal a clear strategic hedge. Philippine leaders know a Taiwan conflict would directly impact their security and economy. Granting the U.S. access to northern bases is a calculated move to prepare for the worst. The Philippines is quietly positioning itself for a crisis that could reshape the region. From Beijing's perspective, the U.S. return to the Philippines is part of a larger strategy to encircle China. A web of U.S. alliances, Japan, South Korea, Australia, the Quad, tightens around China's periphery. The strengthened U.S.-Philippines alliance fits this pattern, fueling deep strategic anxiety in Beijing. Chinese officials call it a Cold War mentality, accusing the U.S. of building an Asian NATO to contain China's rise. The expansion of EDCA sites is seen as a direct military provocation, putting U.S. power on China's doorstep. In response, China has ramped up diplomatic pressure, economic leverage, and military posturing in the South China Sea. It warns Manila of the risks of aligning too closely with Washington, while flexing its own military muscle. China's core fear: the U.S. presence will embolden regional rivals and complicate its quest for dominance. The U.S. alliance acts as an equalizer, giving smaller states the confidence to push back. For China, U.S. bases in the Philippines are a major obstacle to its ambitions. The contest is about more than territory. It's about the future balance of power in Asia. The stakes are existential for both sides. For the Philippines, this is a high-wire act. On one side, Chinese aggression threatens its sovereignty and resources in the West Philippine Sea. The U.S. alliance offers a credible deterrent, backed by the Mutual Defense Treaty. On the other, China is a vital economic partner and neighbor. Alienating Beijing could have severe consequences. Domestic politics add another layer, with some Filipinos wary of overdependence on the U.S. and the risk of being caught in a superpower clash. President Marcos Jr. is walking a tightrope, deepening defense ties with Washington while keeping dialogue open with Beijing. The government insists EDCA sites are for defense and disaster response, not offense. Manila is more vocal internationally, joining joint patrols and rallying support, but also keeps talking to China on trade. The goal: defend sovereignty without provoking a full-blown confrontation. Whether this balancing act can last as U.S.-China tensions rise is the central question for Philippine foreign policy. The stakes for the nation and the region couldn't be higher. The U.S.-Philippines alliance is reshaping the Indo-Pacific chessboard. America's allies, Japan, Australia, welcome a stronger Philippines, seeing it as key to regional stability. New security groupings are emerging: trilateral cooperation with Japan, quadrilateral patrols with Australia. These flexible arrangements create a web of resilience against coercion. For non-allies like Vietnam and Indonesia, the U.S. presence is a double-edged sword, reassuring but also raising the risk of escalation. ASEAN, the regional bloc, is divided, unable to form a unified stance as its members balance ties with both China and the U.S. The alliance's revival exposes ASEAN's internal fractures and the challenge of maintaining centrality. The region is drifting toward a more bipolar order, with countries feeling pressure to pick sides. Most say they want to avoid choosing, but their actions, military upgrades, joint exercises, tell another story. By recommitting to the U.S., the Philippines has made its choice clear. This decision is forcing neighbors to rethink their own positions. The Indo-Pacific is entering a new era of strategic competition. The renewed U.S. presence in the Philippines is a pivotal move in the global power struggle with China. It's not just about the South China Sea, it's about who sets the rules for the 21st century. The alliance's future depends on political will in Manila and Washington. A change in leadership could shift the balance again. Washington's challenge is to make the partnership durable. Beyond military ties, it must deepen economic and cultural links. China, meanwhile, will likely avoid direct conflict, relying on gray zone tactics and economic influence to weaken U.S. alliances. The South China Sea will remain tense, a contested stalemate with no easy resolution. The U.S. and its allies are drawing a line, signaling resistance to further Chinese expansion. China, driven by its own ambitions, is unlikely to back down. The world is watching as this rivalry shapes the future of global politics. The bases in the Philippines are more than military outposts. They're symbols of renewed American resolve. The contest for the Indo-Pacific is just beginning,